Welcome, Algebras, to your Chapter 8, Lesson 3 notes. We are going to solve quadratic equations by factoring again, but this time our quadratic equations will not already be in standard form for us. So that's just the last layer we need to add is getting our standard form. Then we know everything to do next. It's all the same stuff we've been practicing. So I'm just going to do a whole bunch of examples and we shall be in great shape. So here we go. Let's see. We've got x squared minus x equals 6. Well, we need it to be equal to 0. So what needs to pop over to be with the positive x squared? That's 6. And of course, we move it to the other side of the equal sign by opposite operations. So we subtract 6 from both sides of the equal sign. We put standard form, so the x squared, then the x term, then the number term equals 0. Now we can factor. So this is a trinomial. What are the factors of 6 that subtract to give me -1 in the middle? That would be 3 and 2. What's bigger? The 3, so it has to have the same sign as the middle. The 3 is negative. Since your n term is negative, these are different signs. And so to be different than a negative, I need a positive. And then I'm t-charting. So now I set each factor equal to 0 inside my t-chart. This is the zero product law being used, and I get 2 answers for x. I get +3 and -2 as my 2 answers for x. Okay, now the difference here, and I want you to use your graphing calculators for this part, is when you check, your answers aren't necessarily going to be 0. They just have to be the same on both sides. So I'm going to check 3 by plugging it into my graphing calculator. Let me make it a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 3 to the original equation, which was 3 squared minus 3 should give me 6. Now I'm going to do -2. -2 squared minus -2 should give me 6. There's my checks. So now it might not be equal to 0. It might be equal to 6. Okay? Or some other number that's on my other side of my equal sign. That's how we're going to be checking. Okay? So your checks just look a little different. You have to get standard form to start, but I think you got this. So number 2, subtract that 3x over to be with the positive x squared and the -10. And of course, it's got to go in the middle. X squared first, then my -3x, then my -10 equals 0. Now I factor. The factors of 10 that subtract to give me 3 are 5 and 2. 5 is the bigger factor, so it's going to be negative, just like my 3 in the middle. My 2 is going to be positive because if my n term is negative, I have different signs in my binomials. And now I t-chart where I set each factor equal to 0. So x plus 2 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. Yes, you have to write that out. Must be present. That's you applying the zero product law. Then you can state your answers, which are x equals -2 and x equals +5. And then that goes in French curly braces. Oh, up there, I didn't put them in numeric order, and that's not like me. Let's check real quick. So let's see. 5 squared minus 10 should be the same as 3 times 5. Checked, right? I got both sides there. So now let's do that with -2. So -2 squared minus 10 should be the same as 3 times -2. There you have it. So a little bit different as far as the checks go, but use those graphing calculators to do it. Oh dear, got several x squareds here. Well, I want them to stay positive, and since there's more x squareds over on this side, and I do need one side to be equal to 0 anyway, let's subtract these x squareds. 4x squared minus 1x squared is 3x squared, and then minus 6x equals 0. Well, this is a binomial, so it's either GCF or dots. It's not a perfect square minus a perfect square, so it's got to be a GCF, which is 3x, and then x minus 3 is the leftover. And now you t-chart. So 3x equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. And over here, of course, when you've got just a number times your x, you get x equals 0. And over here, add that 2 to both sides, you get x equals 2. So 0 and 2 are my answers here for x. And let's, wait, I'm multiplying by 0. Wait, I can do that in my head. 0 squared is 0 times 4 is still 0. 6 times 0 is 0. 0 equals 0. 0 checks out. 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 6 times 2 is 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. Oh, what's 2 squared? 4. 2 checks. There you go. Didn't even need my graphing calculator on that one. See? Quick checks. We can do those quick checks. Last two for practice, and then use this to help you practice on your homework. The only difference is now you're getting that standard form to start. So scooch this 81 over by subtracting, descending exponential order, and then equal 0. So now this is dots. It's a binomial again, but this time I've got a perfect square minus a perfect square. So I get 2x minus 7 and 2x plus 7 equals 0. Then t-chart, 2x minus 7 equals 0. Ooh, 2x plus 7 equals 0. Okay, well, there's lots of stuff going on, so I'm going to show you my work this time. Plus 7 on both sides. So I get 2x equals 7. And then to get x alone, I divide by 2. So I got a fraction, and that's okay. Fractions are rational numbers. X equals 7 over 2. Well, same thing's going to happen here, but what's the difference? It's going to be the opposite sign. So I've got a negative 7, and I still divide both sides by 2. I get x equals negative 7 halves. So I can represent that in my French curly braces with a plus and minus sign, 7 halves. That is two separate answers, positive 7 halves and negative 7 halves. Those are my two answers, okay? Checking. 4 times, well, fractions are just division problems, right? So 7 over 2 squared should be equal to 81. Let's see if it is. Did I do that right? What did I do wrong? Guys, you were probably screaming at home. That's what I get for rushing. It's 81. What's the square root of 81? It's 9. Why have I been using 7? I know that 7 squared is 49. What the heck? Look at that. That's why I check my answers. Because I just assumed I had it right, and that was wrong. So I'm just going to second and enter and head back and change this 7 to the 9 it's supposed to be, because I checked my work and knew I got something wrong. Huh. All right, just double checking the negative. Second and enter gets me back here, and I'm just going to insert a negative. Oop, insert a negative, second insert, negative, and now press enter. Ah, phew. Got 81 both times. Good thing I checked. I might have missed that and then sat there with the wrong answer. And then some of you at home would have been screaming the whole time, square root of 81 is 9. You're crazy. I scream that about you when I'm correcting your homework, just so you know. Anyway, need to get this x cubed positive, so I'm adding this 3x cubed to both sides of this equal sign. And I get 3x cubed minus 12x squared minus 15x equals 0. There is definitely a GCF here. All these things are divisible by 3. All these things have an extra x. So 3x out front. I'm left with x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. And that is a factorable trinomial. What are the factors of 5 that will subtract to give me 4? that would be x minus 5 and x plus 1 equals 0. Note that I brought my GCF down because I've got 1, 2, 3 factors, and they all have a variable. I have to check all of them. 3x equals 0, I get x equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0, I get x equals 5. And x plus 1 equals 0, I get x equals negative 1. So my three answers here, negative 1, 0, and 5, positive 5, right? And that's exactly the same one from the second notes, lesson 2 notes. Heads up, right? Okay. Guys, good luck. Get that standard form, and then everything's the same after that. Factor, T-chart where you set each factor equal to 0, then solve each of those factors set equal to 0 for your variable, and then check in your graphing calculator. Please ask me if you have any questions on how to do this. I'm happy to help you. I love solving quadratic equations by factoring. It is so much fun. I love solving quadratic equations in general. Tons of fun. All right. See you soon. We're going to be reviewing for your quiz. Bye, guys.